this video, we're going to do a quick reminder about equivalent fractions. Remember that equivalent fractions are fractions that look different but actually mean the same amount. Here's an example. Here we have one shaded in part out of two total parts. So we have 1/2. Over here we have 4 total parts and 2 of them are shaded in, so we have 2/4. 1/2 and 2/4 do not look like the same number, but we can see that they actually have the same amount shaded in. If I pick this up and move it over here, I can see it's the same width. I can see it's the same height. They cover each other exactly. It's the same amount. So 1/2 is equal to or equivalent to 2/4. In today's Seesaw activity, you're going to be practicing equivalent fractions with slides like this. I wanted to show you some details about this slide to help make this activity easier for you. I notice that we're going to be using fraction bars, just like we did last time, only this time we're just going to color them in. We're not going to actually be moving them around. I also notice that there is a fraction at the top of the slide. This fraction tells me that I'm doing this slide about 1/2 and fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. So I can see that 1/2 is going to equal 1 fraction and then 2 fractions, 3, 4, 5. So there'll be 5 fractions that are all equivalent to 1/2 by the time I'm done. I'm going to start by coloring in the 1/2 so I can see exactly how big that is. I would like you to please use the highlighter tool. The highlighter tool is nice because then I can see what's underneath and you don't hide numbers and lines. That would make your job harder. So I'm going to highlight to color in my 1/2. And that shows me how big my 1/2 is going to be. And what I notice is that it's this wide and that this line, I see other lines that kind of line up with that line. Do you see that? There's one, there's one. So here's the strategy I'm going to use to help myself. I'm going to get a ruler or anything with a straight edge. It could be a piece of paper, it could be the cover of a book, any kind of flattish thing with a straight edge. And I'm going to put my finger right on this line, and then I'm going to put my ruler or my straight edge right next to my finger and try and make it be right straight up and down. Then I'm just going to trace down my ruler. And what that has done, it's given me a really straight line that traces straight down from that 1/2. Do you see how it did that? So as I go down now, I can see, look, if I go to 1/3, there's 1/3, but 2/3 is too big. 1/3 is shorter, 2/3 is wider. So I can't actually make a fraction equivalent to 1/2 using thirds that's either too small or too big. So I'll skip that one. But I can do a fraction equivalent to 1/2 using fourths. And I know that because this line here is just underneath that line. So it's going to be the exact same width. So I could shade in these fourths. And I can see that 2/4 put together is the same size as 1/2. So I'm going to go to my pen, and up here I'm going to write 2/4 because 2/4 and 1/2 are the same. I'm going to go back to my highlighter. I'm going to pick another color because I want to make it pretty. I'm going to look at 1/5, or at fifths, I should say. 1/5 is way too small. 2/5, still too small. 3/5 is going to be too big. Look at the edge of the fifth. The 3rd fifth is past my yellow line. It's too big, and I'm not allowed to cut the fifth in parts. So I guess I can't use fifths. But 6, look at that, it lines up perfectly. So I could line up 6. I could color in the 6th, and I notice that to get my 6th the same width as the 1/2 takes 3/6. So I can come up here and do 3/6. I notice with 8ths right down below, the same thing happens. I can color in 8ths until I get to that line, and it's an exact amount of 8ths. I'm not cutting anything in pieces. So it looks like 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2 also. Whoops, that didn't color very well. There you go. All right, it looks like there's going to be 2 more fractions to figure out. I'm going to let you do that part. I just want to show you my ruler tip one more time. So I'm going to go to the next slide, which is 2/3. So if I was coloring in my 2/3, I'd come here, color 2/3 in, and then remember I put my finger and I put my straight edge right next to my finger and try to make it be straight up and down, and I just run my finger along the ruler till I get to the bottom. Okay, and this time it looks like I got a little bit on this side of the line. I might need to do that again. Let me try it again. It's always okay to fix mistakes, but we also don't have to be perfect. This one I like better because it looks like it's going right through the middle of those lines that line up. Okay, here's one other thing I want to show you. Notice how these tools down here are sort of in the way. This button up here, if I tap it, makes those hide and lets me work on the screen for a minute. And then when I want those tools back, I just hit the pen. So it's this button right here that lets me hide the tools if they're in my way or put them back in place. When you are done, make sure to hit the check mark 2 times. Once, that's being slow, and then I'm going to have to hit it again. Nope, I didn't have to hit it again. Okay. Learn something new every day. All right, boys and girls, enjoy your equivalent fractions.